All right, let's get more reaction now on the medium-term budget from Labour. I'm joined by Cosatu's first Deputy President, Michael Shingange. Michael, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. What are your red flags?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, and your viewers. Well, we will have hoped that the speech will have spent much time fleshing out details on the commitments that were made by the President last week in as far as the economic recovery plan is concerned. Details in as far as the time frames, as the resource allocated, the details as the impact on the jobs and growth is concerned. We didn't hear such. It's also not hear the pronouncement on other infrastructure investment projects, such as rails, roads, and water. Of course, we welcome the investment on the ports. We welcome the investment on the hospitals and on the housing. But again, there were very little details there. One of the other things that we will have expected the minister to look into will have been the issue of every budget that gets tables every year. The Auditor General come back and tell us that we lose 150 billion of that through what is called wasteful and corruption. And then therefore, it is our problem that there was no plan at the part of the treasuries to try and keep such leakages because that's money that is supposed to stay in here and then get business pay tax and then we get creating job and then we get expenditure. But of course, like your economists were saying now here, the issue of cutting at expenditure by government at a time when the economy needs stimulus to be stimulated is actually going to lead to a negative growth. I mean, this has been proven over and over again. It's not like it's the first time that government had cut expenditure, but it has brought us where we are today. So that's a few of our preliminary reaction to this budget speech today.
Yeah, and let's talk about SAA getting this 10.5 billion rand at a time where many workers would say they're waiting for their salary increases. How do you feel about that?
Of course, not only that they are waiting for their salary increases, but the fact that you get pronouncements like you was doing here today about the fact that they need to come to the board, while the money almost every budget he makes is getting a bailout on all other SOEs, not only the SAA. We understand that at the SAA, there are workers that whose job must be rescued. That is a good point. But the 10.5 billion that is pronounced now is not money that is guaranteeing that the job. It's still to pay those business rescue practitioners. So our view is that that money comes from the same pot as their money comes from in as far as the parliamentarians are concerned, as the money that pays consultants in municipalities come from, as the money that pays the CEOs and SOEs come from. But you having the people who have been carrying this nation for the past 8 months, since the pandemic broke in this country, there's nothing is coming for them, no incentives. They've risked their life, they've lost their life, families have lost breadwinners, some of them have risked their job, but nothing's coming on their part. You are told that they need to give more. Our view is that there's nothing for these workers to cut anymore. And in fact, we must say that again, it's heightening the provocation that they started in February of trying to provoke workers on these matters, because there's no way that the workers are going to allow government to attack collective bargaining in the name of economic meltdown, when themselves have not been tightening the belt for over the many years that have come.
Yeah. And then there's so many reports talking about what was said in lockup, right, regarding the public service wage bill. Some saying it's being mooted over the next 3 years. Government simply can't afford to increase wages to an extent that workers would want to. Have you heard anything about what the official word is from the finance minister on this?
No, you see the problem with when it comes to the issue of the conditions of service for public servants. It's managed at the Public Service Bargaining Council, and the lead department thereof is the Minister of Public Service and Administration. Unfortunately, the person who gets to make pronouncement almost bypassing and undermining that process of negotiations is the Minister of Finance. So there's nothing that has come to us. For instance, the issue that he talks about other private sectors have done to take a salary cut up to 7% is nothing that has ever been presented to the labor in the bargaining council. All that which is in dispute now, all that is in court as we speak now, is the fact that government signed an agreement 3 years ago, and government has not presented a COVID-19 as a situation that compels them not to implement. You will remember, Shahan, that the attitude of this Minister of Finance in particular towards the public servants didn't start with COVID. It has always been there. You remember that 2 years ago, he actually wanted to cut 30,000 public servants. So it's not something new. Something that is said today that it continues to mislead the public about the salary of public servants having grown about 7% over the past 5 years. That's not true. That's not true. Even as we speak now, all the public servants were saying was that you signed in 2018, you said you're going to give us an inflation-related increase. And inflation-related increase is actually not a salary increase. It's an adjustment. It makes you to be able to buy the things you were able to buy last year. It makes sure that you are not worse off. As things stand now, all those civil servants are worse off as we speak because everything else that has got to do with the salary increase has gone up, but their salary has actually taken a cut by 10% as we speak now. So it's not true what has been saying, but the point is that can they come to where these matters are negotiated and they present a case, in particular when it comes to the next 3 years, but not to tamper with what is happening now that has already been implemented 2 years and also been signed 3 years ago.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Michael Shingange, Cosatu's first deputy president.